This was Van Jones talking to three black Trump voters in North Carolina.
I like authenticity.
You voted for Obama then you voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, but 2020 you voted for Donald Trump. What made the change?
John, those are three of the dumbest people I've ever seen in my life.
Y'all know what it is. We're going to get right to it. We got a video of Roland Martin and his crew. They are responding to the panel or the conversation that Van Jones of CNN had with black Trump voters, reviewing the first 100 days of Trump's presidency and asking them what they think about it, some of the pros, some of the cons, and would they do it again? And when I say do it again, would they vote for Trump again? So we're going to get into the video that Roland Martin has on his page, and I believe they'll show the back and forth with Van Jones. And then I want y'all to pay attention to the feedback that Roland Martin and his crew give the black, they're called MAGA Trumpers on Roland Martin's page, but the people that voted for Donald Trump. So let's get into that right now.
This was Van Jones talking to three black Trump voters in North Carolina. And one of them specifically talked about the issue of where he got his information from. Roland.
Do well.
And here we are in South Carolina with three Trump voters. You weren't always a Republican.
No. Actually, I come from a family that was like super Democratic. My first time voting, I voted Democrat. I voted for Joe Biden.
What about Trump appealed to you?
Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, you can.
Part of it is he's an asshole. I like authenticity.
You voted for Obama then you voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, but 2020 you voted for Donald Trump. What made the change?
I began listening to someone. Her name is Candace Owens, and I read her book, and it just opened my eyes to maybe he's not this person that I have been led to believe that he was.
So you voted against Trump in 2016,
yes,
but then in 2020 you voted for him?
Absolutely.
Why?
I saw how things were going during his first term, and I was pleasantly surprised, and I was pleased with what was happening. I saw the economy getting better. I saw country relations in certain countries getting better.
What are some things that he's doing that you do like?
For me, I like the border. I just don't like the idea of someone coming here illegally and getting benefits that can serve my community. So that's the reason why I support him on that border policy.
When you think about the border, you think about people coming here who are getting more help than people who live here and who were born here.
Yeah. And I got that perspective not from news channels. I got it from social media. TikTok is like a holy grail. We even see it with the things that we learn about the United States government outside of the United States. People are showing Americans, hey, look at what's going on. Do y'all know that your government is doing this? Have you seen this? Have you looked at it from this perspective?
You know, people, when they think about a Trump voter, they usually think about like a white dude with like a red hat on and a pickup truck. And y'all are not that at all. So Donald Trump's team went in, they took down Harriet Tubman's picture for a quick minute. They're trying to like knock out the black museums. What does that have to do with the price of eggs, and how does that impact you?
In some ways, it's a slap in the face. In other ways, I don't care. I care more about how I'm going to take care of my children.
I don't think the average American cares about that. I know I am sick and tired of seeing black people sit there and complain about something, but not taking action and steps to actually try to change things in an appropriate manner.
Under the Trump and Biden administration, they came to certain agreements with police departments to be less brutal toward the black community. Trump has now ended all that. How does that help the black community?
I have a lot of issues with police reform and just with how police officers are treated as a whole. My husband is currently going through the process to become a police officer. The amount of hatred that cops get, even the best ones, I think has become a huge problem, because it has been, especially around election times, when it definitely comes out of like, oh no, the cops are bad. The cops hate you because you're black. They're immediately deemed as evil.
This man is talking about running for a third term. Now, what do you think about that?
The third term, for me, absolutely not. I think it's at the end of these 4 years, it's time to move on.
This is a prime example of him trolling people because people have said, they're like, oh, if he gets in the office, he's going to be a dictator. He's going to try to run for a third term. So he's like, okay, y'all think I'm going to do that? I'm going to mess with y'all and say this to take y'all out.
I thought you loved this man because he's so authentic and he's such a truth teller.
But you need to know the difference between somebody trolling somebody, and this is a prime example of him being a troll.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump again, yes or no?
Yes, I would. Now, in the future, I am not a diehard Democrat or diehard Republican. If there were a Democratic candidate who was more aligned for me, then I would vote Democrat.
If you go back in time, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
Yes.
I think I might know the answer on this.
She said yes. It's immediately yes. No, I'm sorry.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
1,000% absolutely yes.
John, those are three of the dumbest people I've ever seen in my life.
Those are three of the dumbest people I've ever seen in my life. I wonder if Roland's going to tell us why they're the dumbest. The name calling. You see what ends up happening? See, this is a part of the not being able to have some sort of conflict resolution or not being able to have some type of healthy dialogue just with somebody that may see the world differently than you. This is the problem when you think that your lived experience, your perspective trumps everybody else's. So you surround yourself with people that see the world just like you, believe in the same things that you believe in, say the same thing. So you feel as if that's how the majority of people, or that's how everybody, experiences. Why do they have to be dumb? Why can't you just push back on certain things that you disagreed with what they said? And what's so terrible about it is that lady, when Van Jones asked the first lady, would you vote for Donald Trump again? She said yes. And she brought up something that, in my opinion, we all should embrace. She brought up the fact that I'm not a diehard Democrat or diehard Republican. I'm going for the best candidate. So if there's a good candidate that comes out of the Democratic Party that's aligned with the things that are important to me, then I would vote for them. Why does Roland? That is the most intelligent mindset that you could have. That is how you not just bought and paid for or just giving all of your support to the Democrats, which means that you give, this is what has happened with us over the last, 30, 40, 50 years, past 2-3 generations, because we just give away our vote and in the past haven't received much in return. Now, I'm sure Roland Martin would say, well, we got the civil rights bill. Cool. Well, clearly there's a whole bunch of other stuff that we need to get because people like Roland Martin and Al Sharpton, they're complaining, boycotting this, boycotting that. So clearly there's some other things that need to be done. And a lot of times it's funny how we'll push to have certain stuff done when Trump's in office, but y'all weren't pushing for this reparation talk. Y'all weren't pushing for this stuff when your guy was actually in office. See, Roland's the type, he's going to be shucking and jiving, dancing with Hillary Clinton. Didn't Roland lose his last, allegedly, didn't Roland lose his last position because he leaked certain debate questions or he was accused of leaking debate questions to one of the candidates? I forget who was running at the time. Isn't that the reason why he got fired from his mainstream news media job? But neither here nor there, even if that's not the case, even if that didn't happen, why are those people stupid? And why would you preface it, these are three of the dumbest people I've ever seen? Let's keep going. But this is the problem. They say that they want diversity, equity, and inclusion, but as soon as somebody has a different thought, you don't want to include them in the conversation. You want to discount them so everybody else won't even consider what it is that they're interested in, or consider what they're saying, I should say, because you're only concerned with the things that you're interested in. You don't want to allow your base and your group of supporters to hear them out. You're too scared to say, yo, what are y'all thoughts on that? You have to instantly, as soon as the video goes off, set the tone and say that's the dumbest thing that I've ever heard. Three of the dumbest people. Now people on your platform, now people on the panel. You see the dude on the right, he's already got this the squinched up face for what? For what? Y'all are so sold on the Democrats that much. We should be leveraging our vote. Yo, we rocking with whoever gives us the best. That's how you negotiate. You don't just say I'm all in on Democrats. Perhaps that's the reason why us being all in on Democrats more than maybe any other demographic group with being all in on any other party. Maybe that's why we give the most, pledge our loyalty the most, and get the least in return. I don't know. Let's keep going to hear what they got to say. Let's keep it listening.
So let me just unpack what I heard. Now I know Morgan's like, oh no, you can't go there. Actually, I can go there because those are three idiots. First and foremost.
Well, I want to hear the rationale. I want to hear.
No, here's why. First of all,
dude is a clown on the end, bro. This is clownish behavior. I don't know you, so I'm not trying to disrespect you, but this is clownish behavior, bro.
I heard. Now I know Morgan's like, oh no, you can't go there. Actually, I can go there.
Look at him closing his eyes. He's like rolling his eyes. He's just like, does Roland like only allow y'all to have certain responses? Like, even if you're a Roland Martin fan, even if you're a diehard Democrat, did you really think that what those people said, those black people that voted for Trump, did you really think that what they said warranted these type of responses? Did you really think that? Watch dude on the right when Roland starts talking.
Because those are three idiots. First and foremost.
Well, I want to hear
he's clapping for it. In what world is it me giving my perspective on something, not being disrespectful, and I get called three idiots? This is like the third or fourth time he said it. Like, why is this okay? And it seemed like Shorty was getting ready to say something. This lady was getting ready to say something, but Roland, I don't care. Like, this is why Democrats are losing a percentage of the black men, and I think black women as well. And a lot of people are just going a different way because, damn, you can't even have a different perspective. Here you talk about Trump being a dictator, Trump being all these things, the Republican Party being all these things. Look at the behavior that you exhibit just when somebody doesn't agree and see the world the exact same way that you see it, Roland.
Rationale. I want to hear.
No, here's why. First of all, when the woman in red, yeah, I was listening to Candace Owens. We know she lies. We know she just lies. Well, I was listening to Candace Owens and I read her book. Okay.
You may not agree with Candace Owens. You may not like Candace Owens. But Candace Owens being a liar, Candace Owens' journalism credentials being questioned. And I see a lot of people, it's like whenever, I really feel that people are so scared of Candace Owens because they respect her as being such a powerful and influential person who will not be broken, who will not bend the knee just because the black elite dislike her. She won't. And she's shown it to other groups as well. She will not bend the knee. And that's why people are intimidated by her, in my opinion. Now, when Roland Martin says, we know she lies, Roland, what did she lie about? What did she lie about?
Hey, you're listening to a grifter. Okay, so she's not giving you factual information. She's a grifter. Then let's go to this idiot dude who needs a haircut.
I had to look up what a grifter meant, the definition. It's a person who engages in petty or small-scale swindling. I would say that Roland Martin is a grifter by this definition. Al Sharpton is a grifter by this definition. Ben Crump is a grifter by this definition. All this swindling that y'all try to do. All this swindling that y'all try to do. Stop it. Stop it. You just tried to swindle based on what you just said about Candace Owens. I challenge you to challenge your audience to go listen to Candace Owens. Because you can get away with saying that she's a grifter to your audience because the majority of your audience has never really given Candace Owens a chance. You probably heard something that was clipped up in a certain way to present it to the people in a certain way. So therefore, they would disregard Candace Owens without actually taking a deep dive. How do I know? Because I was one of those people way back when. I used to be one of those people. It's a shame. It's a shame, but people are waking up. People are waking up. Now listen to what the brother just said again. Listen to what Roland just said again.
Okay, you're listening to a grifter. Okay, so she's not giving you factual information. She's a grifter. Then let's go to this idiot dude who needs a haircut. Okay, so he's sitting here. Yeah, TikTok is the holy grail. I'm not getting my information from news channels. I'm getting it from TikTok.
You mean the same news channels that told us all that information during 2020 that they were wrong on? You mean the same news channels that get the majority of their funding from the pharmaceutical industry? And then they jump on and highlight or lie, you would say, give mistruths about certain things that the pharmaceutical industry is providing to us. See, this is the thing. They all, whether it's Bernie Sanders, AOC, Roland Martin, they all complain about the elites and Donald Trump only doing this for the elites. These mainstream media outlets, news outlets as they're called, they're taking just as much funding or more from the elites than anybody on the Republican side. Look at the funding that Kamala Harris received compared to the funding that Donald Trump received. I don't know. Let's break it down. You think Kamala Harris's were all just people giving $5? I'm pretty sure she had some big donors, but we don't care when it's the big donors, when it's George Soros sponsoring something, when it's Jeff Bezos, when he's on your side, when it's Mark Zuckerberg, when he's on your side, and you're sending Mark Zuckerberg messages saying, hey, we got to keep this stuff. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, their administration telling Mark Zuckerberg what things to censor on their platform based on what they're saying about 2020 and that jab. And then Mark Zuckerberg eventually called them out. I don't think Roland Martin was making that a big story. He probably found a way somehow to say that Mark Zuckerberg's an idiot. Blame it on Mark Zuckerberg. So when we talk about TikTok, when you talk about X, when you talk about a lot of these platforms, people are forced to go on a lot of these platforms like YouTube, like you're on, because the mainstream media, people have lost faith in them. And it's to their own doing. They're presenting one-sided information. We all know what it is. Let's just be real. Let's keep going.
Here's what we know based upon polling. People who got information from news sources voted more so for Harris because they got factual information. Folk who got their information from non-news sources, they voted for Trump. So right there, he's listening to people who don't know what the hell they're talking about. Then, I kind of like it that he's an asshole.
Let's go back a second. I want to
got their information from non-news sources, they voted for Trump.
See, Roland Martin seems to be confused. Roland Martin, you may consider yourself a news source, but you're not the news source. Like, you're not a mainstream media news source. You may still move like one. You still may get funded in the same way, but you're not. And it's not really you're not really earning any certain level of credibility when you say I'm a mainstream news outlet. Those are the ones that, why do you think people are going to TikTok? Why do you think people are going to X? Because the things that a lot of these quote unquote conspiracy theorists have called out, they've been right on a lot of them compared to the mainstream news media outlets, in which it's been proven that they will just say whatever, have the same exact talking points. Have you ever seen one of those videos where it syncs all of their audio, where they're all saying the same thing about 2020, all saying the same thing about Donald Trump, all saying the same thing about Kamala Harris? It's scripted. That's why we're not listening to it. Or maybe you don't think that your audience is intelligent enough to decipher between what's real, what's not, to do their own research when they hear something. Maybe you would just prefer them to just hear whatever you're saying and go with that. Perhaps that's what you would prefer.
So right there, he's listening to people who don't know what the hell they're talking about. Then, I kind of like it that he's an asshole. Okay. I don't know how you can run against that, because if you just choose not to be.
Sometimes you got to break stuff down. It's how simple-minded some people can be. I think everybody watching this knows that there's a spectrum of being an asshole, right? When we're talking about Trump, it means that he's not scared to buck the system and go against what the mainstream establishment swamp government, as we all used to call out. It's so funny how we all used to criticize the government. And then when Trump criticizes the government, now it's no, Trump's criticizing the government. He's trying to be a dictator. Aren't we the ones that used to criticize the government for what they did? So now when Trump does it, now we're against Trump. Now we're supporting the government and how they move, supporting the swamp, supporting the establishment. It's people just pick and choose, man. People just pick and choose. And this is how you end up, in my opinion, contradicting yourself.
An idiot. I mean, I don't know how you could do that. But
this man has said the word idiot so many different times and hasn't even really brought up a real example of why you're calling him an idiot, or what do you disagree with? Oh, he's an idiot for getting his information on TikTok, for getting his news. Well, Roland, which information did he get on TikTok? Like what's the information that has been given on TikTok that is so wrong compared to what the mainstream news outlets have done? At least the TikTokers aren't incentivized or paid by the people that you're actually selling a particular product for, right? The pharmaceutical industry is not paying me. And if they are paying me, then you can probably, I don't know. I don't think it takes too much digging to understand that if the pharmaceutical industries are paying me, I'd probably look at them in a more favorable way. I'd probably present the information in a more favorable way. Or I would just do what a lot of these mainstream outlets would do and just go hard and just pushing whatever it is the pharmaceutical industries, the elites are telling me to push, because maybe there's some bonuses that come along with it.
Then you got the other woman. I'm sick of Black people who don't try to do something to fix the situation. I'm sorry. Those three were in North Carolina. I recall something called Moral Monday.
South Carolina, I believe, Roland, but you may be right.
The environmental justice movement began in that state. They have been fighting fascism in North Carolina since Obama won in 2008. And then this, my husband's trying to be a cop.
Hold on. What does them fighting fascism have to do with what the lady said? Like, I didn't draw that connection. So any state that's fighting fascism or racism, you're not allowed to vote Republican. You're not allowed to vote for Trump. Did I miss that? Did he make a connection that wasn't that I missed? Perhaps. Let's keep going.
And these bad things they say about cops. Would you like us to do the roll call of Black people who have been killed by cops? Would you like for us to actually do that? I mean, so when you're
because Black people have been killed by cops, she can't comment anything about how we regard cops from a young age, I would say. We can't talk about anything to improve the relationships with cops unless we're starting off by saying they're killing Black people. But man, this victimhood that Roland Martin, Al Sharpton, and a lot of these other people hold on to, the grifters, they have to hold on to it because that's what pays their bills at the end of the day. That's what has always paid their bills. So I don't really expect much of anything else. We'll keep going for another minute or two and then we'll wrap it up.
So people like that, I mean, to be perfectly honest, there are some Black people who I think are so delusional and so out to lunch, you're not going to reach them. I don't believe that that's who you should be going after. Not those three. You're not going after them, okay? Because if you're so willing to believe lies and then you promote the lie that you heard.
What lie is he referring to? He called Candace Owens a liar. He's calling them liar. What are they lying about? He criticized TikTok. Okay, call it out. TikTok's giving out crazy information, crazy news. Give us an example, Roland.
And it's not even remotely factual, then what in the hell, how in the hell do you counter that level of stupidity?
I'll be honest, man. As I'm sitting here reviewing this video, I'm realizing how much easier it is to make money by being Roland Martin rather than being, in my opinion, a free thinker. Roland Martin is bought and paid for. He's aligned himself with the Democratic Party. There's nothing that the Democrats are going to do to get him away from that alignment. He can probably, I wouldn't even be surprised if Roland Martin said, I'm an independent. You know what I'm saying? That they all give that whole type of thing. All right, cool. I'm an independent too. But because I voted for Trump, I'm so delusional that we can't be saved, as if Roland Martin knows what we need to be saved, right? Roland Martin has all the answers. This is the arrogance that a lot of people in their party establish. And in my opinion, this is the arrogance that a lot of older Black leaders establish in their minds. And that's the reason why they don't want to listen to other people, especially listening to the younger generation about the things that are important to us, how we're seeing the world that may be a little different than Roland Martin's lived experience.
So I can comment on this. From working on campaigns, we have a universe of voters we call persuadables. And a previous comment stated that there are some things that Democrats, liberals need to improve on. And Roland, you touched on it. Informed people voted for Kamala Harris. But here's the problem here. The majority of Americans are still not college educated, and Democrats slipped with every non-college educated demographic. Even with Black Americans, that was Trump's strongest group of Black Americans were Black people without a college degree. And so I think that part of putting out misinformation is being able to message people who might not be as educated as us, who might not understand things as easily as we do. We've got to learn how to break it down Barney style, as we used to put it in the military. We have got to explain things to the hood, explain things to the holler, explain things to people who might not get it and don't easily get it. That is going to be the key to saving democracy, because in 2024, it's a fact. No after action report shows us doing well with people without college degrees, and we've got to figure out a way to stop them from falling into the misinformation rabbit hole. We got to stop these Gen Z men. One of those guys was a Gen Z man. We got to stop these Gen Z men from falling into the misinformation rabbit hole.
Well, but
this man said that he has to break stuff down Barney style. Well, as somebody that went to, how would I describe the College of William and Mary? A challenging academic institution. I voted for Trump. But I'm still open to people. Like, I'm open to these conversations. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me how I was seeing things differently. I've always voted Democrat. This was my first time voting, not voting Democrat. So tell me where I'm wrong. But when you have these conversations where you just completely you can't even participate in the conversation because you don't agree with us. Well, then the conversation is only going to be with people that agree. Isn't that their whole point in promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion? When you bring different types of people with different perspectives, different backgrounds, different viewpoints, that it helps to elevate everybody higher than just having the same person with the same view that may come from the same demographic group. Isn't that the whole premise of why DEI is important? Isn't that what y'all push? So why would you not want to encourage that diversity of thought and use that to elevate perhaps your current view of the world? Or is that just not what you believe in? It seems like Roland Martin and a lot of these other people who say that they are behind the party for DEI, it seems like y'all just want the power that comes with the dictators, because the dictators are the ones that don't have to hear other people's perspectives and can just say, oh, you don't agree with me, we're canceling that person. Isn't that the dictator mindset? Isn't that the mindset of the CEOs that y'all complain about and want to police who it is they're hiring, and they need to hire this amount of black people and do this for black people, or we're going to boycott Target, even though Target's the #1 employer outside the federal government of black people. This is the hustling backwards that we do, the games that we play. This gentleman pretty much just got on here and talked about, well, pretty much we got to dumb it down for these simple-minded fools that voted for Trump. So I'll leave it there. We don't need to go, I think they pretty much have said everything that, or at least allowed us to understand how they're seeing things. I don't know. Y'all tell me. I may not be right on this. I want to talk to people that have different views, because that's the only way that I've been able to grow into the perspective that I have now. Because 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I used to be aligned with more of their thinking. But I started listening to other perspectives. I started to see the world from different people's point of views. And that's what led me here. Now, I'm sure they would say, well, you're lost, young man. Cool. Roland Martin, the most amazing guy in the world. He has all the answers, along with this panel that just agrees with everything that he says. So clearly they have all the answers as well. On that note, I'll let y'all go. I'll see y'all soon in the next video. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. It goes a long way for us. And we'll keep giving y'all engaging videos for y'all to give us your opinion on, so we all can elevate together. On that note, I'll see y'all soon.